Here we are back in our loaded scenario. What we want to do today is to get red on the move at least a little bit, and in the process talk a little bit about some routing and some of the editing commands that are available to help you out. So let's switch over to the red forces. So that we get a little better view, let's zoom in some. All right, we want to set these units so that they're computer controlled rather than player controlled. There's a nice function within the editor that I learned about during our discussion on the forums where you can drag a box around these units and do a bulk select. When you do, notice they all turn purple. Now if I right click on one of these units, I get some options. Now it's not the full set of options that I can use with units normally. You'll notice, for example, that there is no new route command. So I can't set a route this way, but I can set some of the other stuff. So let's go down to options, set owner, and set them all to computer. Okay, the player's never going to have need to sit in these units, so this will just assign them to the AI. The other thing we can do while we're here is to set their formations. So normally they would start out in wedge formation, which isn't the best thing for being on a road in the woods because some of your units are going to be off the road in the woods and therefore traveling kind of slowly. So let's put them in column. And then I'm going to set them to close spacing here just to make sure they stay out of any penalty zones or anything like that and to make maneuvering on the road a little easier. Now, it could be argued that this isn't the best choice because, as you can see, red is going to have to travel down this road pretty much until he breaks out somewhere down in this area. Blue's going to understand that and is probably going to be dropping artillery on this road as much as he can to try and either catch red or at least slow him down. So being in close spacing may not be the best choice there. We may decide to change that later, but for now we'll leave it. All right, so we have them set to column and we have them set to close spacing. So now if we just click off on the map somewhere, that dialog box will go away. Now in order to select a single unit, all you have to do is just click one. Actually, you have to click off of all of them and then click again. So I've selected CO Alpha. Now, in order to route him down the road, I've decided to use this clearing as my jumping off point. Now, I could go ahead and do a view here and just get a look at the map. And here's our clearing view. So as you can see, this looks like an excellent sort of parade ground almost where we can store our vehicles. Got the road up through the middle of it there. So that looks okay. Let's do F5 to go back to the map. And one other thing I might want to check very quickly is to just do a right click in the clearing and do a mark LOS from here. And after a couple of seconds delay, Steel Beast is going to display something that looks like this. Now if I scroll the map up so we can get a little better view of the side of the map that blue is going to be coming from, what I was concerned about here was whether blue would be able to see us from any of this area up in here. Where you see this pink color, it means that any vehicles in that area would be completely exposed to us and vice versa. Where you see some of the white like here, those are areas where the vehicles would be hull down. The only thing we would be able to see would be their turret. And then in this dark gray haze that kind of covers the rest of the map, that's an area where we have no visibility whatsoever. So you can see this area up here where blue's going to be coming from is pretty much invisible to us and vice versa. So that makes an excellent choice for our marshalling area. If I right click on the map again and do clear LOS, it'll put it back to the normal map colors. So that's a very handy tool to use when you want to see who can see you and what you can see. All right, let's get our units on the move here. Now, what I could do is I could draw a route that goes all the way up the road into the clearing for every single unit. But in our case, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of share the route. So I'm going to left click on CO Alpha here and do new route. Okay, and I'm going to give him a march route, even though he's a single vehicle. I'll give him a march route. And I'm going to place the very end of that route just outside his starting area. If I hold down the shift key when I click, Steel Beast will snap that vertex to the road. And now if I right click, that ends the route at the last vertex. So you'll see now I have a waypoint 1 here and a little short route that runs up to waypoint 1. Now I'm going to start my next route from waypoint 1. So I left click to select it and then do right click new route. And again, I'm going to give him a march route. I'm doing that because I want the formation to remain as column, which is the default for the march route. All right, and again, I will do shift, and I'm going to come up just between these two streams, right about there. And then I'm going to right click to end the route. Okay, you see I have a waypoint 2 here. Now the reason I'm doing this route in multiple segments rather than just one is because I'm going to vary the speed on these routes. Because blue knows that red is going to have to travel the road and he's going to be trying to use artillery to hit red, it's wise for red not to simply travel up the road at top speed where blue could potentially guess about where he'll be when the artillery falls and potentially just pick off red's vehicles without ever even seeing them. So by changing our speeds, we'll hopefully throw off blue's timing a little. So I'm going to essentially create 3 or 4 segments here. So now I'm going to left click on 2 and again do new route march. This time I'm going to come up into that first small clearing. And then I'm going to right click to end the route. Select waypoint 3, do another new route. And this one will take us right up into our final location. All right, so now we have our routes laid out into the clearing. If we come down here and we click on the road between waypoints 1 and 2, the route is going to highlight in this purple color. Okay, I'm going to right click on that route. And I'm going to set the speed to slow. I'm also going to check the formation to make sure it's in column, which it should be because we selected the march route type. But I am going to change the spacing again to close. By default, it will set it at normal. All right, if we click between waypoints 2 and 3, that route will turn purple. We can right click on it, and we're going to set the speed here to top. And again, spacing to close. And then finally on the last segment, we'll leave the speed at fast and just set the spacing. All right, now by doing that and having this initial waypoint 1 right here, I can now simply just give each of the remaining units a route to waypoint 1, and they will then pick up and follow the rest of the route. So that's the advantage of having this initial sort of lead waypoint, is that I can just connect to that and the rest of the units will just go and I don't have to remap them or reroute them. All right, so let's give 1 alpha. Left click to select them. New route march. And click right on top of the waypoint 1. And then right click to end it. Now when you have put a vertex near an existing waypoint and you right click to end the route, Steel Beast will snap that vertex to the existing waypoint. All right. Let's do another route for 2 alpha. And again, all we've got to do is just click near the 1 and then right click to end it. and repeat for 3 alpha. All right, so we've got them routed now. We can actually test the scenario now and see if they get where they're supposed to be. I now have this test button up here, you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, that allows me to test the game. Now what I have noticed is that this button does not like having the Fraps video recorder running when it switches over to the game engine. So I'm going to have to turn Fraps off here for a moment. And here we are in the test engine. So you'll notice it looks very much like the game screen with a couple of different options. You'll notice, for example, it has a choose side command here. So if we use the regular switch here to go over and look at the terrain, zoom it out to 1.0. Okay, you can see blue up there where we know that we put him. But we're more interested in the red side right now, so we can use this choose side button to select red. All right, now you'll notice 3 alpha is my default unit. So if I double click on CO alpha, he'll now become my default unit, so I can watch him lead the way down the road. All right, so I think we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and select start, and it will begin playing the game for us.
Loader ready, Sabo loaded.
All right, way in the background there, we can see other units on the road getting themselves organized into column formation. As they do that, they'll start out following CO Alpha. All right, they seem to be taking their speed commands correctly, so he's lumbering along at slow speed right now. See another vehicle just coming over the hill in the background there a little bit. So if Blue thinks he's going to catch Red out at high speed with his artillery barrage, he's going to be sadly mistaken, because we'll be lagging behind a little bit. Now, we may decide that we don't want to travel at slow speed because it gives Blue too much time to get to the objective. If that's the case, we can take the risk and travel at high speed later. We can always change those routes to whatever speeds we want. All right, I don't think it's necessary for us to watch the vehicles actually go down the road here. So I'm going to pause the video and let it run through until they get to the clearing, and then we'll join it there just to demonstrate that they do in fact make it. As you can see, CO Alpha is pulling into the clearing now. We'll watch behind here, and we should be able to see the 1 Alpha platoon coming into view pretty soon. Just in case we couldn't, though, we could always check the map by going back with the F5 key to make sure that the units were moving as we expected. That's probably not a bad idea, so I'm going to do that right now. And you can see that the 3 units are on their way. A little further behind CO Alpha, but that's okay. F1 will take us back to the map, or back to the world view. All right, so I think you get the idea. I'll leave the rest of the verifying their route to you as an exercise, but all we really want to do is just make sure they get here to the clearing and don't get stuck anywhere along the way. So far it looks pretty good. They're traveling up the road as we could see on the map, and they should get here shortly. All right, so that's going to be it for this episode, and next time we'll talk about embarking on routes under conditions. So we'll see you then.